Hey Marin, what are we going to learn in this video?
We're going to work on improving our listening skills by tuning into how native speakers talk. Plus, we'll pick up some really useful words and phrases that can help us sound more natural and fluent in English.
Wow, that sounds exciting. So, we'll not only practice listening, but also learn new vocabulary along the way.
Exactly. And the best part? We'll break down each new word and share plenty of examples so that you can understand how to use them naturally in real conversations.
That's fantastic. A lot of us try to memorize words, but when it's time to speak, we struggle to actually use them.
That's totally normal. The key is to learn words in context by hearing them in sentences and practicing them in daily conversations. That way, they stick in your mind naturally.
That makes so much sense. Instead of memorizing lists, we should focus on how words are actually used.
Exactly. By listening to native speakers and learning words in context, you'll naturally remember and use them.
That sounds really helpful. A lot of times we hear new words, but we're not sure how to use them correctly.
That's why we'll also give plenty of real-life examples. Learning words in context makes them much easier to remember and use confidently.
So, the person we are going to talk about is Robert Greene. He's known for writing books about power, strategy, and human nature.
Oh, who is he exactly?
He's a best-selling author famous for books like The 48 Laws of Power and The Art of Seduction. His books teach how to navigate power dynamics and influence people.
That sounds interesting. Does he focus more on business and leadership, or can his ideas be used in everyday life?
Both. His ideas are often used in business, politics, and even personal relationships. Some people find his advice very useful, while others think it's a bit manipulative.
Let's listen to the dialogue and pick out some new words and phrases along the way.
People have egos. Even your boss has an ego. You think he or she doesn't because they're powerful. They're even more insecure than other people. You need to be aware of these things so that you don't inadvertently make them feel insecure and suffer the consequences.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the conversation. Did you notice that interesting word, inadvertently?
Inadvertently. Inadvertently means doing something unintentionally or by accident. It's when you do something without meaning to.
Right. For example, have you ever said something that accidentally hurt someone's feelings, even though you didn't mean to?
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. Like one time, I jokingly told my friend, "You're always late." I was just teasing, but I inadvertently made her feel bad because she was really trying to be on time.
Exactly. You didn't mean to upset her, but your words inadvertently hurt her feelings.
Oh, that's relatable. Or imagine you're at a family gathering and you inadvertently bring up a sensitive topic. You weren't trying to make things awkward, but suddenly the whole room goes silent.
That's a really good one. Sometimes we say or do things without realizing their impact. Like, I once borrowed my friend's pen and inadvertently walked away with it. I only realized later when she asked for it back.
Great. Now it's time for a challenge. We want to hear from you. Try using inadvertently in a sentence and share it in the comments.
Absolutely. If you can make a sentence, that means you've truly learned the word. Drop your sentence in the comments. We'll be checking and replying.
In May, I'd finished The Laws of Human Nature, which took me 5 years. And when I finished that book, I felt like I was near death. I was so exhausted. I was so drained.
Welcome back, my friends. Did you notice the word exhausted in that sentence?
Yes. Exhausted. Exhausted means feeling extremely tired, like you have no energy left.
Right. Have you ever had a day where you were so exhausted that you just couldn't function?
Oh, absolutely. One time, I helped my cousin move to a new apartment. We carried heavy boxes up and down the stairs all day. By the end, I was so exhausted. I just collapsed on the floor.
That's a great example. Or imagine fasting all day during Ramadan. By sunset, you feel completely exhausted but also relieved.
Oh, that's a good one. And exhaustion isn't just physical. It can be emotional too. Like when you have a really stressful week, dealing with work, family, and life. And by the weekend, you just feel mentally exhausted.
Yes. For example, imagine studying non-stop for an important exam. You spend days reading, memorizing, and practicing. And when the exam is finally over, you feel completely exhausted. You can't even think anymore.
Exactly. So listeners, when was the last time you felt truly exhausted? Share your experience in the comments.
But the thing is, children are much stronger than we think they are. They're very resilient. They're very resourceful. They're going to find their love.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you catch that word? Resilient?
Yes, resilient. Resilient means being able to recover quickly from difficulties or challenges. It's when someone faces a tough situation but doesn't give up.
Right. For example, have you ever seen kids fall down while learning to ride a bike? They might cry for a moment, but then they get right back up and try again. That's resilience.
Yeah. For example, my friend lost her job last year, but instead of giving up, she stayed resilient. She learned new skills, applied for better positions, and now she has a great job she loves.
That's a great example. Resilient people don't let failures stop them. For instance, my cousin started a small business, but it failed within a year. Instead of feeling defeated, he was resilient. He analysed what went wrong, made improvements, and started a new business that's now doing really well.
That's inspiring. Another example, think about students who struggle in school. My younger brother failed his math test once, but he was resilient. He kept practicing, asked for help, and eventually, he became one of the top students in his class.
So listeners, when was the last time you felt truly exhausted? Share your experience in the comments.
Absolutely. If you can make a sentence, that means you've truly learned the word. Drop your sentence in the comments. We'll be checking and replying.
You have to get out in the world and you have to put yourself physically out there and try and try and try and have rejection. And I know it sounds awful, but it is a skill in a way where you're learning how to understand and deal with people.
Hey listeners, welcome back. Did you catch that word earlier? Awful?
Yep, awful. It means something really bad or unpleasant. When something is awful, it's usually something you want to avoid.
Exactly. Have you ever experienced something awful, like a bad situation or feeling?
Oh, for sure. One time I went hiking and we got lost in the woods. It started raining and the temperature dropped. It was awful. We were wet, cold, and had no idea where we were. But luckily, we made it back safely.
I know that feeling. I had an awful day when I missed the bus, and then I realised I had forgotten my homework at home. Everything just seemed to go wrong that day.
Another example could be when I missed my flight last month. It was awful. I had to wait for hours at the airport for the next one.
Oh, I've been there. I once lost my wallet while shopping. It was an awful feeling, and I spent the next hour searching the store.
So, listeners, it's your turn. Tell us about a time when you had an awful experience. Maybe a terrible day at work, a bad meal, or a travel disaster. Drop your story in the comments.
His life depended on developing this skill. He was going to just die from sheer boredom if he didn't learn how to read body language. He mastered that language much like somebody could master French. And it's an incredibly powerful language that I can't emphasize enough.
Welcome back, my friends. We've got a new word for you today. Emphasize.
Yes. I can't emphasize it enough. That means I really, really want to make something clear or important.
Exactly. When you emphasize something, you stress it, highlight it, or make sure people understand how important it is.
For example, my mom always emphasizes the importance of eating healthy. Every time I reach for junk food, she reminds me, Marin, you need to eat your vegetables.
That sounds like my coach. He always emphasizes the importance of practice. He says, you can't just show up on game day and expect to win. You have to put in the work.
That's a great example. Another one, my teacher emphasized the need to review our notes every day before the exam. She said, don't cram the night before.
And now, it's your turn. What's something that someone in your life always emphasizes? Maybe a parent, a teacher, or a friend? Let us know in the comments.